Hello and welcome to episode 28 of our Timberborn 1.0 no longer experimental playthrough on the Ant Farm map with the Iron Teeth Faction Cycle 29, Day 1. Where last time we decided we're going to plant some trees down here, clean some things up just a little bit, and attempted to place the Earth Repopulator on this thing, but it said it could not be done. So while we're waiting for all of this water to come back in here, fill everything up down here, and make its way through our new exit, which is set to 1.9 height there, full height there, and 2.95 here as an emergency spillover. We should, in theory, after that overflows, be completely fine to plant more stuff down here. But I wanted to address this, because one of the suggestions made in the comments was that, well, maybe the Earth Repopulator is too high. However, nope. Absolutely not it, because this is already way higher. But, to illustrate in another way, we go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's as far as you can put dirt. But that's not as far as you can build. We can go 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 16 entire blocks of height to the build limit. So the build limit's not the problem, at least not vertically. So, I'm pretty sure the issue is that we have, wow, the Flame of Unity right here, blocking the either the rotation of this thing, or when it's unfolded or something like that. So I think what's going to happen, unfortunately, is that this either needs to be raised, or it needs to be moved out. So let's go over a couple of options here. And how I'm going to do this is I'm going to pop this in here. We're going to keep the game paused, of course. But I'm going to raise it until it says it's okay. That does not say it's okay. So this is now 2. That does say it's okay. So that tells me it was actually an issue of having things too close to what's going on here. So how do we solve this problem? Well, obviously, if we don't want to remove any of these things, then it has to be at this height. And it can be at this height. Very, very easily. It's just an issue of, you know, this is objectively pretty stinking ugly. So what we're going to do is tear this whole thing down and actually move this metal platform up 2 blocks. That's what we have to do, is move it up 2 blocks and then rebuild everything else on top. Now, there's a very good chance this is not the way you would have done this, and that is okay. But that's the way I'm going to do it. So we're going to have, instead of a single platform, we're going to have a triple platform. On top of that, the 5x5. And on top of that, we got these. And then we have those. And then on top of that, we got this guy. They just have to be able to get into it, which, admittedly, the way this is set up is not perfectly set up for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to put in a spiral staircase. I love the spiral staircases. In case you don't remember my my previous thoughts about those. I'm going to just stick this right like here and get that connected up top. That's also going to give us the ability to maybe put some other stuff on top of these things if we decide that's necessary. But that, you know, that solves our problem. I almost said solves the solution. That's not how that works. But that solves our problem with the least amount of nonsense and not having to get rid of other stuff. So, of course, they do have to pick up the stuff off the ground, which they will do. Just have to give them the opportunities to find everything. And I know there's probably, maybe somewhere else, one of these piles, but piles can't be dropped onto plants or building tops that are not buildable. So maybe that is actually all. Yeah, this is a pretty robust amount of things here. So it seems like that is okay. We're just going to let them do that. Continue watching what's happening down here. As this fills up, these things continue to be pumped. And very soon, this will fill up as well. It's already becoming irrigated. Yeah, I think we're going to be okay. We may have a little bit of tiny flooding and splashback as this equalizes. But I think it's going to be just fine. Just wait for this to stabilize a little bit. And that should very soon. Yeah. Maybe I need to lower this a tiny bit more. Yeah, because this is, as a reminder, filling up way high over here and then being regulated with this sluice, which is currently set to close, and this fill valve, which is set to a target height of 0.3 meters. So it's going to take some time to get itself figured out, but it will eventually get figured out. We do have this one little tunnel down here that, in theory, should, you know, not really be an issue. But it's a learning experience, right? Because we've heavily modified basically everything about this entire side of the map, and, you know, stuff just sometimes doesn't go exactly the way you want it to. Nothing wrong with that, though. We do have these two flooded things here, which, you know, that's by design. And ironically, they are now basically empty because we're so low on water. But the next time this reservoir is empty, we can transfer stuff into those tanks. Probably a little bit faster than we did last time, and just move on from there. But this is looking pretty good, I think at least. And other things that we wanted to address this time, mostly just optimizing things, I think. And there's still tons of stuff that we could do, and I'm sure there's some things that some of you are going to be a little irritated that I'm not going to get to, but it's episode 28. I said we'd go to 30. I don't think it's worth tearing stuff down and completely rebuilding it when we've already basically done just about everything we want to do. We just mainly need to take care of the fun things. We can add a bell, and then maybe that's about it. The biggest challenge is going to be finding a place for a motivatorium, because that requires ground, like actual dirt, with certain clearances, and it requires power. Mud bath's a little bit easier, although we currently don't have a lot of dirt. The amount of you that decided that this was like a really stupid mistake is honestly kind of concerning, because you know what I can do is I can just delete that and the stuff goes on the ground. It's really not a problem at all. But we're going to get that cleaned up. Again, zero issue whatsoever. We just have to move the storage somewhere else. And I think, even though there's not really a lot of great places to put stuff, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal for us to find some way of doing this. Again, I'm gonna need you guys to trust me a little bit more, okay? Like, I promise it's gonna be alright. So if I were to put this here, then I probably wouldn't really be able to do too much else. So why don't we instead try to bring that in from this side? We do need the 2.5 to 3 block clearance vertically over these guys, which makes me think the only real way to get something on top of here is to put in this big 5x5 platform, which is going to require that going there to that height, and that going there, which of course is going to require the stairs move. But that's not going to be that big of a deal, because all I've got to do is just stagger this to the side a tiny bit. And that can come up to this spot right there. We can basically build all of this without really having to worry about it, because, you know, this connects on the other side. It's just going to take a little longer for the beavers to get there. But again, I just really don't think it's a problem. So that is going to take care of that pretty handily, and then this can easily be popped in instead of a double platform as a triple. And suddenly, guess what? We got tons of space over here. So what I can do with this space, now that we're covering all of this, is I can either put in additional 4-block long buildings, which maybe long run we probably don't need, but if we want to speed things up, we could definitely make good use of. We are kind of, you know, up against the upper limit of what our power supply can give us. But there are ways of, you know, kind of solving that problem. We could re-automate the number cruncher to power demand, or I could just turn one or both of them off. In terms of stuff we have to unlock, I'm not doing bots in this playthrough anyway. But we've unlocked almost everything, so let's do, let's just unlock everything that we haven't done that we were actually going to need. Yeah, decontamination pod not going to be an issue. Decoration-wise, I do need to put a bell in. Banners are nice to have, but they're not completely necessary. Stream gauge is purely decorative now. And these are all done, so we don't need any more science, like, honestly. We really don't. So I'm going to start by pausing the number crunchers. Save your booze for later. Or don't. I'm not your dad, but I think, honestly, we can justify putting in a couple more of these woodwork shops just so we can have enough of these treated planks before the heat death of the universe. Supply-wise, may or may not be an issue to keep up with stuff, but I think it's worth putting in at least one of these. I will provision for 2. And then I have space for one more right here at the end. Based on the amount of metal, 2,000, I think I can justify putting in one more smelter as well. So in terms of raw materials, most of those are stored underneath here. We don't need to expand storage quantities for most of this stuff because the rate at which they're going to be taken to the Earth Repopulator and used is going to be faster than we can fill up storage. That being said, we do probably still want to add storage somewhere. I know we have to have some for dirt, so we can just use the mud pits and all that. But we don't have to worry about that there. This is just to, you know, more or less solve most of this being slow. So I'm going to let them get to that. And we are going to have to just find a location to put a couple more of these things. I've got housing here that theoretically we could replace. But I need to have somewhere with power a mud bath, at least one, ideally 2. And then I need to have somewhere with power and open dirt to put a motivatorium. I think the easiest way to do that is going to be to just stick that over here. However, this is kind of a big building. And, you know, it's really not going to be super easy. We also have the opportunity, before we plant any more trees, I left this vertical power shaft here for a reason, and that's just in case I wanted to put anything else on this side. And I'm thinking this might be one of the only places on this map I could actually put one of these things. So for this to be viable, I would have to move the power to come from here, go all the way down. So yes, I am going to get rid of this, but before I do, all I have to do is stick this here. Then I have to dynamite that, and I can very easily, even though these are paused, very easily do one of these numbers here. Now, how am I going to get them in here to actually do this is the question. Well, the only other thing that's powered from over here is the centrifuge. That goes down that thing right there. We don't need that to be operating right now. I can very, very temporarily disable this. So that is what I will do. And instead, I'm going to have to think about how this is going to work. I think what's going to make the most sense in terms of just not being immediately impossible to get anything else done with is to put an overhang here temporarily so that they can walk on top of this, build this, detonate, there you go, this, and then get that going all the way up. Let's make this a priority and let them take care of that. Yeah, you know what the heck, I'll just have them go ahead and take care of this. We'll get some pieces back. And then I need this guy not to plant 5 by 5 there, and then I need access to a path, which is going to go there. Then I just need this path to connect probably here to here. And then I just demolish that one tree there and 2 trees there. That is going to get us just about as much as we can without doing other stupid garbage. In terms of having storage for dirt, I know we still haven't solved that, but we got another 12 or 13 days before that stuff disappears, so we do have some time. If I'm going to put the, what do you call it over here, then I think it just makes sense to have storage for dirt as well. And I don't have easy access for beavers to get to here. But don't forget, we have technology. We're not cavemen, cave beavers, whatever you want to call them. We can, should we choose to do so, reclaim some space here. And we can, should we choose to do so, reorganize how this power shaft is laid out. We can lower it down. We can build the stuff into the side of it and take advantage of things that way. Because remember, this is only powering the dirt excavator that we technically don't really need to have running at all times. And is currently flooded. So, I'm going to take the possibly radical step of just yeeting this entirely all the way down. Taking out these two. Yeah, that should get us just about there. Remember, this advanced breeding pod is paused because we had too many beavers. Can't forget about that being a thing. I'm going to, for the benefit of what we're doing here, overhang, overhang, and then, depending on how I want to do this, I may actually want to come by this side here, and then have this, as soon as I can get back in this area, come up like that. Instead, remove this, because we're not going to want that at this exact moment in time. Yeah, get these guys in here to build as much of this as they can. And then the reason that comes down to here is so that I can come in with the mud bath like this, which I know we're competing for these same treated planks, but that's okay. I will expedite that above this priority here. Make that the lowest priority thing, because they just dumped all the treated planks on the whole map to this. But that's going to give me the chance here to get this connected with platforms. Get a path popped in. We can put stuff under here for well-being, by the way. We got their braziers and everything. This would be probably the best place for that to go. The bell obviously has height, and that has to go somewhere, but I need to find... I guess here would be a decent spot to bury it. I know not a ton of beavers are going to be able to use this, but anybody who comes into the wind tunnel is going to get it. Anybody that comes to get coffee is going to theoretically get it. Maybe actually not. Well, anyway, it's fine. There's enough stuff that beavers are going to end up using that this will not be completely useless here. Of course, I'm going to uncheck the play sound. I'm so glad that is an option now, because that ding, ding, ding super loud got very annoying after the first 800 times. Now let's come back over here. I know we're doing a whole lot at once. I appreciate you guys, bearing with me. This is going to be very simple to get connected there. Shouldn't be that much of an issue. As soon as that is built, of course, this will come out, so I can get this reconnected so this power can actually go somewhere. And I've got a levee here, and I should, under that, just have regular dirt. And I do. I'm going to make this regular dirt as well, because, well, obviously it's got to go on regular dirt if you're building a motivatorium. And once these other trees are gone, this is going to be perfect right here. I put it in the wrong spot. I put it in the wrong spot. Well, is what it is. They're going to take care of that at some point. I don't really want to babysit it. Yeah, we're putting in some work here. Obviously, I've given them a ton of stuff to do at once, and this isn't exactly equipped. That is not the building I wanted to build. Actually, no, never mind, it is, because they haven't even built the other thing I wanted them to build. Disregard. Too far... Oh. They can't build this because they can't get to it. Okay. Well, that's good. That's an interesting problem to have to solve now. I need to get them through... Alright, this... I know this is gonna seem like a really stupid way of doing this, but I promise you this is how this has to be done. That's gonna go there. We have a drought started. We have 3,700 water. It's 29 days, and I've got 84 beavers. Again, that is not enough water. However, we've got a lot more stored here that we can keep pumping. Should the water pump activation trip, which is, I believe, what is it, 25%? Yes. So it's going to be okay. You don't need to worry about it. Yep, just a whole lot of hurry up and wait for most of this stuff in ways that, you know, aren't going to be super harmful for the beavers. They're just going to be kind of annoying for us. And now that this power is going through here, depending on how we want to play the game, I can just have this come straight out this side. Is there anything under here I'm going to want to do? Probably not. I don't need to be babysat by them doing that. Let's do this. Get that cleaned up a little bit. I just need the beavers to actually be able to walk over to this, which, given how this is set up, might not be, you know, the best way to do this, but it's the way that's going to work. And sometimes that is enough. Just get that popped in there. And now we have access to 2 mud baths, which will, yes, need additional dirt. And yes, we'll have to have storage for said dirt. And how am I going to solve that problem? Well, ta-da! Large industrial pile. Meet dirt. That should, in theory, be enough. Or at least it should be enough for it to not be a problem until it's a problem. And then at that point it won't matter anyway. Alright, well, I don't know that there's much else I can do right now besides just time-lapsing and letting them get stuff built. Unclog some of the issues that we've been having, and then maybe check in down on the bottom level for when we're able to put that motivatorium in. But I'm just going to let them take care of stuff for a little bit. Of course, time-lapse accelerated, so you don't have to do the waiting. I'll do it for you. And we'll check back in just a moment. Okay, let's come out of this time-lapse because I had a couple of realizations while they're doing all that stuff. First of all, you probably saw it flash by real quick, but I did swap all of these pumps down here to be activated by Water Pump Activation TI, which is this timer. And the reason I did that is because, 1, they weren't turning on and staying on long enough to actually do anything. And 2, I realized, well, because of that, I had to, you know, get it hooked up there. But it also needed more than 12 hours to begin with. So that's why I put 24 in. And this was only turning on when we got down to about 2,000 here. A little bit under 2,000. So that caused me to, you know, come down here and inspect how things were going on the bottom level. And I had the realization that since I took the pumps out of here, these will never, ever be available at that height at least, because there is no water outlet on the very bottom. And I could connect these, but I think what's going to make more sense, honestly, is just get rid of these and build other ones up on a platform. Because there's only 28 water in this to begin with. It really, grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. But yes, pretty embarrassing mistakes to make, all things considered. But it is what it is. Life goes on. Just, make the most of it. I can't put it underneath here now because of that, but I don't think it's going to make a difference. Let's just get that popped in here. Build another one of those. And then, of course, we will have to, redo this to go to the correct place. But I want to leave the stairs in place so they can actually harvest all the stuff off the ground. And that is what they will do first. Pick it up, like it's at a Scotcho, and then pop that in there. Get that set to water, and then set to obtain. And then, after this is built, we can just duplicate it. And we can put some other ones in other places. All the same. And maybe make these stairs slightly less stupid. Depending on how things are looking. But yeah, I recognize mistakes have been made that I definitely should have planned for. But didn't. And, it is what it is. This is now very dry and it's going to become a problem. But we have 2,200 water now, so it's okay. It's not perfect. Some may even say it's not good, and they would be mostly correct. But it could definitely be worse. And this is going to go empty, which is regrettably going to cause problems for our trees. However, these that have just now started drying out say they're going to die in 14 days. And guess what? We're going to have water in 13.6. So maybe it's going to be fine. Maybe not. I guess we'll find out. But they are, you know, well on their way to getting taken care of with this stuff. I probably should put a couple more tanks down here, but I don't know that we really have the pumping capacity with this being exposed. With the tanks being exposed, at least, to actually fill more than 2 of these. I think it's going to be fine. The dirt situation resolved itself, despite apparently what some of you thought. It's always going to be okay. Like, don't worry about it. We've got mud baths, and yes, we do in fact have a motivatorium. So let's check our well-being. I don't have a swimming pool or an exercise plaza, but you know what we can do, folks. You know what we can do. So we can come in here. We can blast that out. Oh, that's so loud. And get rid of that lumberjack flag. Get rid of that. And I can move that lumberjack flag very easily to the other side here. And pop him in such a place that he is going to be able to get to basically every tree, with the exception of this one, which will forever be unharvestable. That's fine. And then the swimming pool will go in this spot here. Of course, it's going to be anchored on that bit of land because of the geometry of it. But, you know, we're going to have a swimming pool. And technically correct is the best kind of correct. Exercise plaza can't fit there, so that will need somewhere to go. But we have plenty of places we can stick something like that. It's just probably going to have to go on top of a 5x5 metal platform. And it just so happens there is a space right here that very well could help us out there. Now, I do want to take just a second to keep this paused. Yeah, let's do a triple. And pop that in like that. Again, this is just a convenient place that was available. That goes there. And, you know, it's not the most beautiful thing ever, but it's going to work. And honestly, sometimes that just has to be enough. How are we looking here? Okay, metal blocks are still definitely the choke point. So I'm glad I built a second smelter here. Seems like things are going to be okay. We do have some logs. We do have plenty of scrap metal, relatively speaking. And, you know, honestly, things are looking fine. Power consumption is still a little higher than I would prefer, but remember that not all of these buildings are going to be running at all times, just based on demand and how filled storage is. We can, should we choose to, pause some of these well-being items to get the overall efficiency up. We could also put back in an engine. I do not think gravity batteries would do that much to help here. But, you know, I'm not entirely opposed to the idea. So what I think will make sense, just because, again, because we can, is to pop one of these in here. It'll slot right in the corner of this thing, and it'll go all the way down to the top of the motivatorium. And it'll have to be good enough. It's just one thing that could possibly help a little bit. Now, it's not going to do anything when the power consumption is always above what the demand is. Or, no, power production. I'm sorry, power production is insufficient for demand. But it can help smooth out a little bit between morning and night, so on and so forth. And maybe make enough of a dent where we don't have to turn too many things off. But it does take materials that we have to use for other things. You know, everything's a compromise in this game. When you have a very tiny map and a lot of things you need to get done. But that is what we do, so that is what we will do. We need 11 more metal blocks for the large tank. It is the highest priority, so it will be built first. Get this back on triple speed. And that is just going to be how the cookie crumbles, folks. I'm going to put these platforms here before we get too much further. Let them build what they need to build. And then we will, of course, have to put in another set of stairs. So what I'm going to do instead is just pop in another staircase and then replace this spiral staircase with a platform so they can get off on this level or on the very, very bottom. I hope that's enough. It should be, honestly. I feel like it's not going to be that big of a deal either way. These trees, unfortunately, may die. Some of them, but not all of them. That is empty and can be moved. Alright. This is a, you know, a consequence of having way too many building projects going on with limited supplies. But overall, I don't think we have a lot to be upset about. Just have to be patient. And yes, just have to time-lapse a little bit more stuff. So, I know maybe it's not what you wanted to see, but I told you before, I'm committed to finishing this out correctly, doing all of our normal goals, which maxing well-being, launching the monument, the wonder, I'm sorry, and doing the major goals from the beginning of the series, which was to, you know, conquer a challenge map on hard mode with minimal death, and we've more or less accomplished that. And I've had fun doing it. I hope you've had fun watching. But yeah, we're going to get back to these guys in just a bit. See what they've been able to get done probably before the end of the drought, unless something horrible happens. And then we'll talk about what's next. Okay, so we have 5 days left. We have 585 water left. And dropping that is not going to cut the mustard. So here is what I propose. I'm going to take this space here on this side and build it out as a set of pumps. And what's going to have to happen is I'm going to actually need to do maybe a little bit of rearranging here. I obviously can't build anything there. I wanted to have this set up right like so. I'm not going to be able to put 3 of these in here. I guess, yeah, because I'm not going to be able to fit that. I could put one here, maybe. No. I'll just do this. I'm going to have, right here, these pumps just always on, and they will only be able to be used if the water level is low enough so the entrance isn't flooded. But if the entrance isn't flooded, that means we have 1 block deep in the reservoir to pump from. We'll have it right in front of these tanks, and it shouldn't be that big of a deal. But right now, we do need to have some extra water pumped out, because this isn't going to be enough for 5 days, not with all the other stuff we're doing with water. I realize we're in basically the same position we were at the start of the episode with regard to water. Maybe a little bit worse. But I think it's going to be fine. These are paused because there's no water to pump, and because we're under 25% capacity used, it was kicking them on anyway. We'll have to manually restart it. Swimming pool is built. Obviously there's no water, so we can't use it, but it's there. And production of stuff is continuing. We're at 23% on the Earth Repopulator. And most other stuff is actually looking good. There is some representation of basically everything except the swimming pool for obvious reasons we've already discussed. The Earth Repopulator, again, for obvious reasons we've already discussed. And this is looking good. It's not looking good, but at least they have options to do those things. Nutrition's all represented, and everything's looking great here. So now it's just a matter of getting the beavers to actually be able to utilize all of these things, maybe trying to put in another campfire and another rooftop terrace. But honestly, I'm pretty content with most of this. Just want to find a way to make it slightly better if we can. Pine resin here is fine. Obviously, we're going through this faster than I would prefer, but we added some additional pine trees. I guess that's fine. Berry bushes were... Maybe can justify taking some of these out. Yeah, I'm gonna do these 10 trees, or 10 bushes removed and put some more pine trees in. I know it's gonna take, you know, a cycle and a half, maybe. Well, actually, no, maybe less than a full cycle, depending on the length of the drought or bad tide. But we do need to get that taken care of. This is more important, so we can actually pump whatever water remains. Not a ton left, but every little bit's going to count. Just let them do what they've got to do there. Yeah, at this point we're just kind of in an idle holding pattern while we wait for that to get built and some of these other things to get slightly improved. But I'm still feeling pretty good about things. Shouldn't be too many problems long term. These pumps are going to lag behind a little bit while this fills up beyond the first block, which is why another part of the reason why I wanted this to be built out before the end of this drought here. Of course, we're waiting on planks. Those are prioritized, though. They should be. Yeah. Well, that's what it is. Someone made a comment telling me that I missed a super obvious location for planks, but I don't see it. So either that means they've already decayed, or I'm an absolute idiot. Both of those things are probably true. I don't particularly want to take the time to manually inspect every inch of this map when I can just, you know, wait another couple minutes and just make more planks. So all of that being said, I think we're just about at the end of what is reasonably possible to achieve in this episode. I do wish this could have been finished, but it probably is just one of those things we're going to have to say, you know what, it is what it is. And just move on from there. I know I've got some maybe here that I could get rid of, but I'm afraid of toppling everything above this. Now, if you hit demolish and you don't have it automatically bypass the warning, then it will tell you if what you're about to delete is going to cause a problem. So that one, at the very least, was okay. Something tells me that 15 is not going to be enough to really do much on this side. But, well, I guess we'll just have to do what we have to do. Yeah, they're going to take their sweet time on this, aren't they? Well, who knows? Maybe we'll get one of these running before the end of this track. Because we're at 237 water for 79 beavers for 3 days. You already know it's not going to be enough. But we'll get it figured out. The beavers always do. Well, it's not throwing out the we don't have... No, there it is. This is honestly part of the reason why I'm starting to grow to dislike this kind of a playthrough, because it just... A lot of stuff gets very, very slow. Okay, that one was also fine for us to do that way. A lot of this stuff gets very, very slow toward the end, and it ends up being a lot of time-lapsing and, honestly, a lot of frustration on my end. But we're going to see this one through, and maybe I'll have to come up with a better plan for some of these other playthroughs in the future here. I'm going to, now, seeing how this works, downgrade that so we can get the rest of these planks popped in here. I know we've got trees that we're having to cut down for all of this. I don't think I can get rid of any more of these without causing problems. I mean, I could definitely get rid of that. I know that's not going to be a problem. But as far as the rest of these, I think I've done just about all I can do. I mean, maybe I could do these too? Really? Okay, well, now I truly am out of options. And we've only got 2 days. We're down to 65 water. It is what it is. As long as I can get this one finished, then I can just have them put the logs in the other thing here. But I think they're still going to insist on using it for these. No? Okay, just get me one more plank. That's all I need is one more plank. Don't you dare give me... Okay. There we go. Now I need the logs. That should be much easier. Any of these trees that dry out, if they do, we can just cut down. If not, it's really not that big of a deal. Oh. These were somehow not marked for cutting. Alright, well. Glad we fixed that. Just please finish this one water pump. I guess that's not going to happen. That's a huge shame, because this is about to become completely inaccessible. And now the beavers are thirsty. That's the most annoying part about all this. There's not much I can do about that. You know, actually, right here. This may have even been part of what that one person was saying I could get rid of safely. If that is, I apologize. For the record, it is not a good idea to have your only suggestions recorded in a something like Discord messages or whatever. One, because I get a billion direct messages. That is like the worst way to try to talk to me, just by sheer volume. That's just the way it is. Video comments, always the best way to go. If you want to make sure I see something, that's the best place to put it. Why are these not marked for cutting? No, that was definitely also in a comment. I did write that down. Should have fixed that earlier in the playthrough, early in the day. It is what it is. Alright, yeah, this definitely is not getting any pumping done before the end of this drought. If they've taken this long to actually, maybe we'll get a couple hours. Maybe just a tiny bit. That is very unfortunate, though. Tell you what, 20-hour day just for that. Just for that. Come on in here and get pumping. Even if it's just for one moment. Alright, well that was a complete waste of time. Oh well. Got a couple beavers slightly not thirsty. Ugh. Alright. So, suffice to say, I'm thoroughly disappointed by that turn of events. However, the water is back. We'll get a tiny bit of pumping out of this at the very least, and then we'll once again have a temperate cycle where this entire thing that's supposed to solve so many problems does nothing. It is what it is. So we'll get those guys back in there. They can actually pump now. It's going to be okay, even if it's dumb. Ah, man. Well, you know, I still feel pretty good about where we are. We've managed to do a whole lot of stuff I didn't think I was going to be able to accomplish in this playthrough on this map. And honestly, after I saw some other people, you know, have really, really bad starts, really bad playthroughs in terms of not killing beavers on this map, I thought I wasn't going to be able to do it. So, just for that, honestly, I'm pretty happy with how things have gone. And I appreciate you guys sticking with it. I know some of you are still very frustrated by how some of this goes, but hey. It is what it is. That's the way it goes. And this gravity battery is actually doing decently well. So that was a good thing we put in. We can put another one in. I don't have enough materials to really justify that at this exact moment, but that's fine. Thank you, Beard Boosters, of course, for supporting the channel, making it so I can continue doing things exactly the way I do them. Whether or not that's a good thing, I guess, is up for discussion. But you keep the channel sponsor-free. You make it so I don't have to try to do clickbait or other stuff like that I really don't want to do. And we can enjoy playing with beavers on the internet like we always have. So I appreciate your support, genuinely, and I look forward to seeing you again the next time we visit this playthrough later this week and start wrapping things up. We only got 2 episodes left, folks. Stay safe, have fun, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.